Hi, everybody. Welcome. Hey, Annie Bear. How are you? Hey, Lori. Good to see you.
Hi, how are
Um, yeah, so Diana's here, oil painter. And we were just talking about, well, the law of cause and effect, the planets, and of course, her son, which many of you know, was in a horrible accident that last week. Last week?
Saturday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was the 4th, which was also the day that Saturn went direct.
Oh,
And
that's
the
right.
broken bones.
Mm, yeah, yeah. And I love that it's starting to be a good outcome, yeah?
Yes. And that is we as a community, and I am the recipient of all of this effect and cause. It's all the energy that you have sent to heal him and me for support. And I'm on the verge of tears, but I've been walking that way for the past 24 hours because this is more than I could hope for, right? I mean, what is cause and effect? The rule on the page when you go to find all the quotes, it's that same thing that I said before. The lifting of one finger disturbs the farthest star.
Mm-hmm.
And in turn, an effect creates a cause that in turn is opposite of what the effect was. And then that cause becomes an effect that pushes forward to the opposite, which actually brings it all back around to the original source and is the connectedness of the divine oneness. Which brings us back to that first universal law. That's why after point 4, it doesn't matter whether my list is exactly the same as the other list, because the other list has this as number 4 instead of number 6, cause and effect, So it's like after number 4, it's just also connected. I mean, the prognosis wasn't that he would be maimed forever, but the prognosis was you can't go anywhere or do anything because you can't use crutches. Your foot is a mess.
Yeah.
You have to go stay at the Airbnb because he's in Chicago. He lives in LA. His buddy Spencer, who's been his buddy for all their lives, came to meet him in Chicago. He lives in Virginia. He's got the same prognosis. You can't go nowhere.
Oh, his friend was in the car and has the same prognosis.
Yes, Spencer would have been dead had this happened 2 minutes sooner, because the car they hit would have hit them, and it would have hit T-Bone Spencer side of the car. But
Yeah.
so I guess I should tell you the accident. The Uber driver ran a red light. They were in an SUV, the Uber driver.
Mm-hmm.
He slams into a turning left turn vehicle SUV. And then they go careening and slam into a building. Aaron said he thought he was dead. And that second, when they hit the building, something fell and he thought it was going to careen right through the windshield and get him in the head. So the driver walks away with nothing. He leaves the hospital after a check and everything's fine and dandy. He goes. Of course, he probably had airbags all over the place. And I haven't been able to get that information out of Aaron yet for himself, but it's actually neither here nor there at this point, because it's the seatbelt that created that break in the sternum.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Right? That's why Spencer and he both have the same break. And it's a break. I mean, the doctor said if you get on an airplane, the turbulence can cause your chest to burst open. And oh, by the way, your heart has a bruise on it.
Oh my goodness.
And Spencer is not as tall as Aaron. Aaron's 6'3". Spencer's more like my size, right? They look like Mutt and Jeff. And very slight of built. And Aaron's very thin also. I mean, he's very physically fit and very healthy. So, he's thinking, I'm gonna be like this the rest of my life. I'm never going to come back from this. He's all depressed. Of course, he's still in the state of shock when he's thinking all of these things. So I reminded him how healthy he is. And then I just had to enter the silence trying to figure all of this out because, oh my gosh, what is going on? Well, the first thing that happens that is the greatest thing of all is this walking, talking miracle from y'all. Everybody here is the reason behind it happening so quickly. At 10 o'clock yesterday morning, I got done doing candle work and oming on my own because I just couldn't talk.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, I felt this lift in the universe, and the mother's angst disappeared. He's about to turn 40, but that angst will never go away.
Of course, yeah.
You've heard your own mother say it. Now I'm in the position to be saying it. Now, he sent me a picture of his foot. Because he's so much bigger than Spencer, God only knows where his foot was and how they were bouncing around and all that other business. The picture of his foot, his ankle is like this. At 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon, he sends me a picture of his foot, and it looks like his normal foot. I can't even tell the swelling. He said, "Ma, I still feel like crap. But my foot's almost its normal size."
Wow.
That's y'all. That's all of you. I didn't do that on my own. And Aaron is too depressed to put any magic woo-woo of his own because he's not really a believer anyway. And he said, "But I still feel like crap. But I'm getting on a plane on the 9th and going home." I said, "Well, it's better to feel like crap at home than it is to feel like crap away from home." And we chuckled, and then he was gone. So that he went back to sleep. He texted me about 6:30 and said, "I can't believe how much better I feel than I did a few hours ago." Again, this is all of you causing this effect. From me, I was able to start talking. I couldn't speak before that. Now, I crochet. And I've been crocheting a blanket for them for a while. And every stitch is an ohm. When my husband was going through cancer and his ending of life, I was crocheting to pass on to his oncologist, who was from India. So I was doing this big mandala. And each one was an ohm for him to at least have a peaceful crossing. And so each stitch on this blanket is an ohm for them to have a good marriage, good solid relationship. Well, then I harvested the sweetgrass yesterday and didn't even touch the blanket because there's mending going on. So it's not just the knitting it together, but it is the final result of everything redoing. So now I'm ohming through 45 braids, right?
Wow.
And I mean, I had no idea how many braids I was going to get out of what I had because I got some grass from my neighbor who gave me the starts. I had to leave what I was growing in Virginia behind in Virginia.
Sure.
And so I just started it this summer. So I didn't get very much out of mine. But but she wasn't using hers. And she just said, just take it. I'm not using it. Oh, do your
Right.
thing. So I had harvested that and I started in, and before you knew it, 45 of them were made, and there was no grass except for what's on the floor. And I was going to vacuum for y'all, but then I realized they can't see it. And it's sweetgrass. It smells awesome.
Oh,
I mean, most of it's dried out. It's definitely not burning, but it's sweetgrass. So it's still blessing the place.
yeah. Annie Bear wants to know where you live.
Oh, I live near Washington State. No, I live in Grand Blanc Township, Michigan. I used to live in Virginia, but I was born and raised in Detroit.
Nice.
I live about 45 minutes east of Ann Arbor.
Yeah. Sorry.
Northeast. Well, yeah. East.
Yeah. Sorry about Tyler.
Uh,
We're getting some deliveries today, and I'll
it's
text
okay.
Ingrid, see if she'll.
So that's the beauty of all of this. Now I have other stories that aren't as beautiful, but also are examples of this cause and effect,
Mhm.
which is the fact of why did Aaron go to Chicago in the first place? Because he needed to get away. From what? From a cranky wife. And so
Mm,
he did. And their parting words were not good. And she had said, you can't go. It's kind of like, I forbid it. Well, yeah, challenge a Sagittarius. Go ahead.
yeah.
And it's coming from another Sagittarius who should know better.
Right.
But the last words she said were, I want a divorce. So the universe gave opportunity for both of them to stop and think about how quickly things change.
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty powerful words, aren't they? I've always.
They are.
Some people fling those around, and I always made sure that in my relationship with my late husband, that was not flung around, because it's devastating to hear that.
It is. And, they've been together 12 years, but only been married for one. And that put a crimp on things they don't understand in both of them, because they were free before that. Now it's a signed paper commitment. And that does play with your psyche.
Sure.
That signature, another cause and effect of trying to beat my chest and show you where I have my power. So those were pretty strong words, which, I mean, even though they went to Chicago, I know them. They went for the music, because Aaron is a musician. He writes music and, has a band. He's got, 10 songs on Spotify that have been bought by other carriers.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, he was probably having fun.
Sure.
Yeah. Trying just to forget about the whole thing.
Well, he was being responsible. He was Ubering, wasn't driving.
Well,
He
yeah.
was out having fun.
He didn't drive from LA anyway, so yeah. Even if Spencer had driven up, I'm sure they would have Ubered in Chicago, because who wants to drive in Chicago?
Oh my gosh, no.
It's like driving in LA. You just left there,
Yeah, it's no fun.
So that caused a series of events, right?
Yeah.
And we can look at that spiritual karma end of it. Yeah.
Warrior girl, you're cracking me up. Marriage license is the only one that you don't have to renew too much money and divorce.
Exactly. Right.
Right.
So the spiritual side of that would be the karma. Where did that feeling come from, and why did you put it out there? Because the spiritual principle of action taken is always accompanied by consequences, karma. So there we go. You think I'm not? I'm going. You always go. It's my turn. You take care of the dog. You clean the cat box. You cook for yourself. I'm out of here. It's my turn to go.
Yeah.
What kind of language are you using? You know, that brings us back to those other laws that we have covered already. How do you present your story?
That's I got so much the same out of rereading about the law of cause and effect. Because it is about our story, isn't it? And where you can have somebody like number 45 in this lifetime who does not maybe have the morals. I know of all the light workers here. Uh-oh, we lost you for a minute, lady.
Well, and I lost you, so maybe it's not just me.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it is the universe.
Maybe it is the universe. Yeah, something crazy going on here today. But yeah, and so then there's those of us that really care about people and are always trying to help people.
Yeah.
But if we're not manifesting, if we're not, and that's a lot of it, isn't it? Other people, no matter what their not moral compass, but being of service, say they're not being of service to others, and just being of service to self. And that's a whole nother ball game. But
but they're not caring about cause and effect because all they've got is I'm the cause and that's the way I want it because their power they don't see.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
They
and so they are creating a good outcome. A lot of times, benefits. Some of the richest people in the world are not the nicest people in the world, and some of the most lovely people in the world can be, houseless and
right.
lead
If
a
you're
life.
in India, you're living on somebody's front porch.
Yeah, sure.
And then they have to take care of you because they're living on your. I mean, they still have class distinction. That still goes on.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And we had 2 huge earthquakes off the coast of India. And then another one came in Texas. There was a 5-pointer in Texas.
This week?
Yesterday, last night.
Oh my goodness.
In what's that?
Nepal?
No, it was Badam. Badam? That's not right. It's a little sea. It's a sea. And luckily they were out in the ocean. But all of those lines that run everywhere are going to affect us above as below. Right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's got something to do with this internet stuff not going completely right today.
There is that, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, PD, Tarot Lounge, and Seascape, and Rossi, Annie Bear, Sonia. I'll just say hi to everybody. Warrior Girl. So nice to see everybody. Yeah, so it's interesting how we put things into effect and sometimes we don't feel like we're worthy. And all we have to do is change our story. Like I am worthy. This is an exchange of energy. That's all it is. That's all money is, isn't it? It's just paper. It's an exchange of energy.
Yes.
Oh, Australia lost 40%
Of
internet.
Oh.
Whoa, Annie Bear. Okay, well, someone in my family has an appointment with their therapist today in Australia, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. All actions have reactions and return to the sender.
Yeah.
So the internet went down.
Right? Oh, Allie's here too. Heart and Soul Connected. Hello, beautiful. Yeah. So, yeah, but finding these things and, putting our foot out there. And sometimes it's so easy, especially if you're an empath, to get into a situation of inertia. where we're not using any energy, and energy is always in constant motion.
Mm-hmm.
So if we just do one thing to start something or make a list,
Yeah.
change our story. You know,
Yes.
I'm no longer the victim. I am
I am.
divine. I
I am.
am. Yeah.
That's enough.
It
That
is.
is enough. I am who am.
Yeah.
Yeshua wasn't the only one to believe that, you know,
Yeah, right?
because
Yeah.
what you put out there is what you're going to get back. So back to that lifting of one finger disturbs the farthest star, because all of that is connectedness. That on the head of a pin, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything is on the head of a pin because everything is everything. It is every single item in the universe is relative. Nothing is separate. Therefore, all inanimate objects are all connected to the same space and occupy that same space on the head of a pin. And the move you make this way has disturbed all that space, or has it? Because it always comes back to roost. If you think about that toy, which I want that toy so bad, you know, where they have the heavy chrome balls hanging together and you pick
Yes.
it bangs. I want one of those so bad. Because when you forget, that's all you got to do. The visual itself is enough for the reminder, right? And
Yeah.
click, click, click.
Oh, yeah. It really is. Everything comes back. And the other thing about energy is it's neither good nor bad. Like if somebody does something to harm another, um, that's creating karma. But karma's not bad or good. It's a. I mean, certainly it's bad to hurt someone. As an empath, we would not like that. But that energy, the energy itself is neither good nor bad. We just have to. It's the intention.
Perfect. You read my mind, because that was the word that was going to come out for you.
Thank you. It takes me a little bit some days.
But it is intention, because accidents happen.
Yeah.
What was the Uber driver's intention? To get them dropped off and get to his next ride? Who knows?
Yeah.
No one's interviewed the vampire, if you will. Sorry, I'm just joking, God. But, so one other thing I wrote down that I wanted to make sure to say: every effect has a specific cause, which is predictable. So if the cause is predictable, you see that when you look back, well, this caused this effect. Then that's how that effect becomes, standing still becomes the cause. Lightning bolt hits the tree bursts on fire. That's the opposite of the tree standing there with its leaves. Trees on fire. Firefighters come to put it out. That's the opposite action of the fire burning itself up. Somebody has come to eat the fire instead of its own consumption. Now we have this standing still. The tree again can get hit by lightning, even though it's just down to a cinder, but it's come back to where it was, a tree. Because one tiny teeny root will give birth to a new tree.
Yeah.
This universe is amazing. And so you were talking about energy. This brings us to all of these eclipses. Now, Aaron is affected by this eclipse that just happened, particularly the one of the 28th. But it began on the 14th, and the alignment of the 14th. And why? Because 20 years ago, And this is a 20-year pattern that eclipses can set. 20 years ago, he was affected by an eclipse that was close to his birthday. His birthday is November 28th. The eclipse was on November 20th, 2002. The next eclipse was May 16th of 2003. Right in the middle, in March 9th, he breaks his neck, diving into the ocean. Hits a sandbar. He thinks he's going into deep water.
Mm.
He calls me and said, "Ma, I hurt my neck, but I think I'm going to be okay." It's just kind of funny. He never said anything. He's down there on spring break, but he's staying with a family because one of the guys that he was stayed up in Virginia to go to senior year and graduate from Chantilly High School instead of moving down to Florida in St. Augustine with his parents. So Aaron and a bunch of guys from school, from their senior year, go down to see Tony on spring break. And they're just horsing around on the beach because it was too damn cold to go swimming. But they were all covered in sand. So he went in to rinse off the sand.
Oh.
So he doesn't get to the hospital till Sunday because he comes home Saturday night. And I don't know he's home. I used to do daycare and preschool in my house. And so I was at a birthday party for one of the kids. And I left my phone in the car. He comes home and his buddy is there in the house. And I felt like I walked into a morgue. And so I said, "Aaron, you know, when you jumped off the swing and you broke your arm, you were the one who told me you needed to go," which was basically 20 years before that. I said, "You're the only one who knows how you feel. I think you need an x-ray. You got to tell me," because he's 19 now, right? It's like, okay, you got to tell me. This year he's 39. He's about to turn 40. And sure enough, we get there and they're not releasing him. They're trying to chalk it up to an old football injury, which he had never had. And so they take him for CT scan. And I'm leaning up against the doorway. And Dr. Yosef comes walking up and says, "Get this kid on a backboard, get helicopters on his way." And I'm like ready to fall and pass out, right? Take this kid to see Sean Jabreli, whose name is Gabriel in Hindi, because of course he's Farsi rather, because he's Farsi, and he fixed him. He's 2 surgeries, 3 plates, 20 screws, a titanium cage around his spinal cord where the 5th vertebrae used to be.
Wow, that sounds state of the art.
It was.
Yeah.
That was 2003, March 9th, right in between 2 eclipses. And what was really in effect then was Saturn being in that approach to the 21, the final corner.
Yeah.
On his way to the full 28-year return, right? He's at 21 degrees. So he's on that final, or not 21 degrees, but on that final area. And Saturn, we're about bones. And it's opposite his Neptune. That's about water in the 12th house. He's going to rinse off and he dives into the water and breaks his neck. And then the other things that were in that chart that showed up were like the North Node was on his North Node. The North Node was in Gemini. His North Node's in Gemini in the 5th house. Leo, horseplay, having fun, enjoying themselves. There they were, out there having fun. Let's go have, the way forward through college is to go have fun. Not to study.
Yeah.
Right?
Well.
And the moon was in Gemini, and it was opposite his sun. And this was the one of the 20th. So by the time March came, the moon would have been moved on. But on the day of the injury, I didn't check to see where that was, but on the day of the injury, the north node was exactly conjunct his north node.
Wow. So you want to bubble wrap him next time that
Oh
happens.
my gosh. Can't go anywhere. You're 40 years old and your mama says. So now we have this one coming up where he's about to turn 40. So now we're talking about, another opposite. He's opposition, right? Now Saturn is bringing up the bones again. And this time he has he's got the transiting moon conjunct his sedna, sacrifice, adaptation. And that's going on in the third house, communication, caused by an argument.
Yeah.
And that is in a quincunx. That's the one of the 28th. That was in a opposition and quincunx to his Virgo moon, because his Virgo moon is at 21 degrees. So the moon on the day of the eclipse was at 7 degrees or 5 degrees, 5 degrees, right? 7 degrees, sorry. Conjunct his sedna at 7, but still far enough away that he's like contra-parallel to the moon. And so it's a quincunx. It's trying to get that damn fine tuning. It's not even real opposition. It's trying to get it right, always trying to get it right. And hitting the mark. And then having something throw you off.
Yeah. What does the water trine and kite pattern mean?
Oh, the water trine, when you have a grand trine in anything, it will be in one of the elements. Okay, so the elements. So water is, you have an easier time of things when you have a grand trine. Some people think, it's just because I'm lazy. No, it's because it's all of your natural talents come together under this grand trine.
Really? Wow.
Don't think you're lazy. It's just you don't have to work at it here. That's all.
Yeah.
Consider it a blessing. And when you have the kite, what you have is an opposition. Like we had been talking about it when Pluto was opposite the sun and then had Venus had it turn at it and all this. Pluto is the release point in that opposition because you have a trine here at the bottom.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
At the top of the kite, we have a trine. This way we have a square, but that's the release point. And think about flying a kite. Not only does a tail, which would be whatever planet is down there in that tail, not only do you need that in order to help you steer, but that release point is where the wind goes out and lifts you or brings you back down because you're reeling it in. And especially need a tail for that reeling in.
Yeah. It's amazing how this works. And Annie Bear is asking, does your son know how scary in a good way and smart his mother is?
No. Yes, but no, because you know how kids are. I can't do that. That's what my mother does. I'm not endorsing that.
Yeah.
Teresa, I love you. And I love everybody here. And thank you, Teresa. And thank you, Annie Bear, and everybody for all that you have done. I was standing in the shower just before getting ready. Excuse my still semi-wet hair. And I had blue stuff dripping, right? And I'm going, what the hell? What is this? Where is it coming from? The only thing I can figure out is it's the chloroform that was underneath my nails from braiding all that green sweetgrass.
Whoa. Amazing. Is Lori here? Because Lori's been talking about the Hopi tradition and the blue light that's coming in.
The lights in the Hopi tradition, yeah.
Yeah, and I think what were the dates? They were the 28th, the 4th. No, it was the 4th, and then there's 2 more dates in November, I think, that are coming up.
Well, the 28th is when everything's on the galactic center. That's another thing. You want to talk about having a stellium. Aaron has something. Indulge me, please. Let me tell
Yes,
you.
please. We are
He's
here
got
for you.
Estrella at sitting at 0 degrees. Estrella is a asteroid that represents what is hard to let go of, and 0 degrees is a critical degree. That's the cusp line, and that's the only time that you should ever consider yourself a cusper. If your sun is 1 degree, you're not a cusper, you're a Leo. If your sun sign is 29 degrees, you're not a cusper, you're a Virgo, right? But
Yeah.
those are critical degrees because you are extremely sympathetic to either side of that line. So his Estrella can't let go. Exactly. Estrella can't let go at 0 degrees. His sun is at 5 degrees. So, of course, his sun, you give a 10-degree orb, that's conjunct. And on the other side, he's got Uranus throwing lightning bolts into the fire just because he likes the way it looks. That was another thing. His Uranus was doing serendipitous on the water when he dove into the ocean. Well, guess what that can cause? Till it rolls to the sand and burns up the sand and turns it into glass. You don't want to be in that water because it's charged.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. So he's got Estrella, the sun, Uranus, Vulcan at 12, South Node at 15, Jupiter at 16, Mercury at 21, Neptune at 28 on the galactic center. I don't want to argue with him. I would always walk away. Whatever you say, Aaron. And all of that is in the 10th, and a big portion of that is in the 11th, and Neptune is in the 12th, and his rising sign is Capricorn. So he at a Virgo moon, and that North Node in Gemini, he'll out-talk me every time, and I'm a Gemini.
Leah
with
asked,
Mercury in Gemini.
oh my gosh. Leah asked, what about Venus in Aquarius, 29 degrees?
The same thing. This is a critical degree. Now, especially at 29 degrees, you think of yourself as the most mature that sign can be. We get to be about 35, 40 years old, and it's all the same after that.
Yeah.
We keep learning lessons, but there are no more surprises. Shocks, but really no surprises. So when we look at a sign, it has 30 degrees. It begins at 0 and it ends at 29. So that's the final degree. The next one is 0. 0 is a digit, but it doesn't have value. Or does it? It falls off the line and is sympathetic to the Aquarian, or it falls off the line and it is sympathetic to the Piscean, or it can be in both places at once because more than likely you have a couple of minutes added after that, right? So in that, you are at a point where you have all this wisdom of Aquarian knowledge on how to go forward, how to make changes, how to keep that humanitarian value that is Aquarius, and what house is it in, because that will also charge you. But when you're at 1 degree, like my Jupiter, you give yourself permission for everything just because you're the little 2-year-old in this candy aisle.
I love that.
Right? So 1 to 9, we're in that very first Saturn return. And 7 is really what it is. It's 7.5 years or so, depending on the year, if it's a leap year or not, and all that natty stuff. But 7 is called the age of reason for a reason. And everything your parents said to you up until that point, okay, you're willing to believe everything they're telling you. But at age 7, if you went to Catholic school, that's when you made your first confession, because now you need to be responsible for your own sins. And yep, kneel down, say the rosary. Be careful, I don't put you on a crack outside on the sidewalk.
Teresa says, my Mercury and Black Moon Lilith are both at 0. Beautiful.
This is you will sometimes walk away, but say, I'm out of here, and just leave it behind, not argue. But what sign are they in? Because that, and house, because that will help determine whether you jibber jabber or find a witty way out, as you do all so well.
Yeah, because Teresa Ford always comes up with the most interesting ideas and questions.
Yes. Lilith also gets a bad rep, because she is a point that is the farthest away from the earth. It's the dark side of the moon. It's the point that you cannot see. Even when it's facing the earth, it is still the dark side of the moon, right? Yeah. That's your black moon. But the white moon Lilith is, as the moon is turning around, white moon Lilith is on the other side, right? It's the point that's closest. It's not the moon's, it's us spinning. The moon stays in one place. So this is where the dark point is and how the earth goes around, right? The moon, it's us spinning. It's not the moon turning different sides to us. What about a Capricorn Sun, Libra rising? Capricorn Sun, Libra rising. Okay, so Capricorn is the Hierophant. He is the school principal, the father figure, the lawmaker, the structure, the foundation. Libra rising is about balance. I have that. I understand that Libra rising very well from experience. And if something is out of kilter, as a Capricorn, what house is it in? But as a Capricorn, you're probably going to analyze it before you go to try to rebalance it and just haul off and holler at everybody. Because Capricorn can also be some bad popes, if you think about it, And so, think of the Spanish Inquisition and the bad popes that were around during that time. So there's a positive and a negative to everything. We have the choice constantly. And we all live with one perfected opposition in our charts at all times. And that is our very own North Node and South Node. So even if there is nothing else as an opposition, that is your moment in which you create a miracle. It is your natural paradox. And opposition is a paradox. And you have to have a paradox to have a miracle. It is being conscientious enough to work with yourself in that case. When you're opposite someone else's beliefs, you have to be conscientious enough to figure out how to work with that person or simply walk away from it.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. And if we look at things with curiosity, it changes everything, doesn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
And how can you fix things without changing your opinion?
Right.
What house do you know, Rossi? My Mars is at 29 degrees in Taurus in the 8th house.
Wow.
My Mars will take lots of action, but only when it's damn good and ready and has analyzed everything. Like I know where I'm going to put the pencil before I touch the paper.
Oh, wow. That makes sense. You're such a great artist. Warrior Girl says, is 0 is the Godhead in the tree of life, completion. You come full circle, right? 0 is either or. It's all.
Right.
That circle.
In the Kabbalah, there are 11 paths, but there's really 22.
Yeah.
So there's all these hidden spaces to get into.
Yeah. I love that. I love those numbers too, 11 and 22.
Well, and I always find it interesting to look at your numerology, but then also go back and figure out what your Kabbalah is numerically. And in numerology, I'm an 11, and in the Kabbalah, I'm a 22. I'm still trying to figure out where I'm a 33. Because it ain't my hips and it ain't my
Ditto. All right.
it's not my hat size. And I know it's not my chest.
Teresa Ford says Mercury in Leo, 9th house, Lilith, Libra, 11th house. Ooh.
Mercury and Leo. Okay, so you do entertain. Yeah, and you live up to that. In the 9th house, that Leo is like, okay, let's go. Let's find out everything we can. Let's use our brain on this. The perpetual student. That's the natural home of Sagittarius, but it is also the higher home of Gemini, the higher mind, the higher education, the gypsy. Let's have fun with this. Let's go out and fetch our information. Libra in the 11th house, Aquarius. Okay, let's find balance, but how can we do this while having fun at the same time? And even if we cause this, it's fun. It's a fun ride because we're putting it back together.
Yeah. Yeah. Warrior Girl says free will is huge. Amen. I mean, yeah, we can transcend anything with our free will. With energy.
That's a good point to bring up, because that was something else that is part of that cause and effect. It is our free will, how we deal with it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're having too much fun, and I don't want to turn my phone back on because that kept disrupting us. And I can't see the chat.
Oh, you can't see the chat. Okay. Okay. Jay says my Egyptian mouse cat's name is Lilith. She can be a real pain in my dark. You know what? Yep. That's some cats are like, well, dogs too. I know. Tyler can be, quite loud. Surprise.
Oh, Gloria. Oh my God. And it's piercing and grisly. Yip, yip, yip. And then the bird barking. Oh my God.
Yeah, right. Warrior Girl, I have 9 oppositions in my chart. Wow.
Well, how do you deal with those oppositions? Do you fight yourself constantly, or do you find a way to give yourself permission every once in a while and work together to maintain your own balance? You don't need to give yourself rug burns when you fall down, or rope burns on your hand because you've entered a tug of pull. Right. It is self-discipline. Where's your Capricorn? Where's your Saturn?
Yeah. Yeah. Teresa Ford. At 29, I have Uranus in Leo, 10th part of the fortune in Leo, 10th house.
Oh, wow. In the 10th house, and you're part of fortune also. So that's your good luck charm, the part of fortune. It's what, even if you went through fire and brimstone to get there, the plus side is it's your good luck charm. It's the lessons you've learned and how they bring you back from the brink.
Mm-hmm.
And I even took a class on this, but it was at a bad time because it was when my husband was getting pretty sick. And I was taking a class on how to read the part of fortune in order to understand the ups and downs of your life, and how, as a reader, you can just look at that part of fortune and know and understand what has happened to the person's life in the past.
Oh.
But I need to take the class again, and it was hard enough to afford it the first time. So I just I don't wing it. I play it by ear because I do a lot of instinctual reading as well. So that
Well,
29-degree Uranus in Leo, you do it with entertainment.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, Oil
Because
Painter does excellent readings. Oh golly, and I thought I had a banner for your email, but
it's
is it
easy.
oilpainter at Gmail?
At AOL.com. I'm probably like the last person on earth still using AOL, but I'm using it. Too many people to notify if I switched. I tried to
Yeah,
go to email and I just so much rhetoric coming in. It's bad enough on AOL. So
right. Oh, here comes Tyler. Oil Painter at AOL.
.com.
And I'll put it in the notes later.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I meant to do that. I thought I had one, but
Oh, you probably did. I just
yeah.
talked.
No, no, I think I had a banner last time, but maybe I didn't. So, yeah. Oh, you've got a channel, Diana?
I do, but here's the thing. I started that channel when the first child's book I illustrated came out, because it came out at the same time. At the same time that went into lockdown, and I had moved here to Virginia, and my kids that I taught wanted to hear this book, and they were all buying it. So I read the book Mr. Bear Goes Nowhere, which is the title of the first book. It was supposed to come out a year before it did. When it finally came out, it was just as we were going into lockdown. Now, how's that for the universe working, right?
They probably really needed that.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I read the book online for them, and I've not ever recorded anything more. Now I went there to see what's going on, because maybe I will do something, but it's like everything I've ever saved is on there. All of my meditation music, all of this.
You can
So
keep all that private.
what's that?
You can keep all your meditation music and everything private.
Oh, see, I didn't know. I just started it.
Yeah, I know.
I'm doing this. Well, I didn't even know what Zoom was back in those days, right? Oh, well, I
Yeah.
did, but I hadn't used it except for astrology classes. So that was the crazy part of it. How am I going to get this out there to all these kids? And that was the only way I could think of where I could get it to all the kids in the school,
That's sweet.
because
Yeah.
of course everybody in the school wanted Mrs. Bowles's book. And then when the second book came out, it was Mr. Bear's Big Adventure, and it was supposed to be published 6 months before it came out. And when it got published, they had just lifted the ban on our crackdown, on our shutdown. I'm working on the art for book 3, and book 3 is, and how appropriate is it? Mr. Bear Goes Fishing.
Aw.
And what is Letitia James doing?
Oh
And
my
Jack
god.
Smith doing? and all the voters doing? Fishing. Fishing for a better way, fishing for the truth.
Yeah.
And now she's already thinking about a fourth one, and that's going to the farm. What? We're not doing Animal Farm. I'm not doing Animal Farm.
I love that. I love that. Oh. Oh, Teresa remembers that. Came out when lockdown ended too. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Julie
Oh,
says,
thank you,
Diana, you have a
Julie.
true gift to calculate
Well,
astrology and apply
I'm
it.
open to doing charts. So
Yeah. Anybody who wants a chart, please. I'll tell you what, amazing, amazing gift. I had one done for my daughter, one done for me. And oh, Annie Bear says blue wave started yesterday.
yes, it did.
Amen.
Even in Virginia, thank you, because I still have a lot of friends in Virginia. So thank you. And Ohio,
Yeah.
thank you. And I don't know if it's true, because I tried to find out if it was true, but a thing came in off of something politics, and it was on X, and it was Jim Jordan's been disqualified for running for next in 2024. I don't know if it's true though. I couldn't validate it, and I don't remember what site had posted it. But if you're on X, it would still come up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Annie Bear doesn't have her birth time.
That's okay. We'll start with noon, and that will give us a basis for the chart. Basically, what would change more than anything is just the house. And we could start with noon, and this is how I do it. Most astrologers do it this way. And then work forward with what resonates with you. Yeah. The reason why I do noon is because it's the middle of the day. Some people do midnight. Nah, you're a baby and you just came out of the womb and you know nothing. At least if we start with noon, it gives value to the day of its own self, and things can resonate with you a lot easier as an infant because there's daylight and not just the brashy light,
Yeah, so I love that.
That helps your soul, your inner self, tap into those energies that you may not have a clue,
Yeah. 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 Well, so much love here for you today. I did feel that when I was sending energy to Aaron and you the other day. I felt that panic. I didn't know if it was him or if it was you, but I kind of figured after what was you.
Both of us. Because, I have a Sagittarius moon. He's a Sagittarius kid with his North Node in Gemini. We're so connected and have so many similarities that it's so often like looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
Boring. We need, if the time is available, or even if all you can remember your mom saying is it was around dinner time, anything like that, something we can start with, something like that. We have to know where you were born, the date and the year, of course. And then thank goodness for these apps, because what held me back when I was 18 was I couldn't do the math.
Wow.
I didn't have the ability to do the math.
Wow. Warrior Girl says, one way to help, most people born after midnight before noon tend to be naturally slender, and those born after noon tend to carry extra pounds. Not exact, but can be helpful.
Or balloon with the seasons.
Really?
Because, and it doesn't really have anything to do with daylight savings time, just we're more active.
Yeah.
During the longer days period, because summer is going to be a longer time.
Interesting. You have so much energy too, Diana. Yeah, Heather's here. She says, so relieved to hear that your son's doing better.
Thank you. Thank you, Heather.
Right? Yeah.
That was a good show yesterday with you two. And Aries. Who else?
Yeah, it was really great. Yeah.
Yes. Hypnicity. Your part of fortune is Libra. I've done her chart too.
Oh, nice. I can't remember what mine is. I think it was Leo.
Well, I don't want to turn my phone back on, or
no, don't. don't.
Right?
Yeah.
Calls in just the interference of the phone.
Ditto, Annie Bear. Menopause.
Hey,
what a stinker.
What can I say it? More cushion for the pushing. That's the old saying. And I don't think it was just a biker thing.
Yeah, right, Annie Bear. Not surprised if Diana doesn't say, someday I'm building a house.
Well, yeah. I have one. No, I'm just kidding.
I think Dragonfly Val has done she's done a little she shed.
Has she? Well, I have a really nice barn, but I need it for what it is. I shouldn't call it a barn. It's a big shed, and I could turn the upper into an art room.
Oh, nice.
And, have a she room over there.
Yeah.
That I don't know what, I got everything in here in one room, right? Why would I do that? But it could be an extra spot, an extra spot for my brother, anybody who just needs to get away. I
Yeah.
know I have enough room. I have 2 guest rooms and a good sofa, but that would be kind of cool if somebody had to come and stay for an extended time and needed a place to just, get their head cleared.
Yeah. This is something I've always thought of too. Um, doing the garage for that. And I don't know if that's a sign of what's going to happen or what that is. A few years ago, you used to joke that Mother Nature was going through her change. Warrior Girl says, "Yeah,
Oh, she is. I mean, look at all the earthquakes yesterday. Texas had a
yeah,
5-pointer in a place where they hardly ever have earthquakes. There were those 7.2 in the ocean and a 6 point something right next to it. Keep wanting to call it Bida Sea, Bida Sea. Anyways, that's where it was. Luckily, it was off in the water off the coast of India, and there were no ill effects. But these G storms going on in the sun that just are getting to the earth. Yesterday, the wind was horrific. Today, the morning, the wind was horrific. Now there isn't. There's a little breeze comparatively, but it's hard to tell. The leaves are gone. That's another thing. Didn't have any color this year. It just everything dropped off because the winds themselves turned everything brown and ripped them off.
oh, I hate that." Yeah, we have some pretty colors still where I live. It's been wet, a little bit wet, so some of it's come down, but it's lovely.
Yeah,
Yeah, Hypnicity says she feels earthquake energy often.
I do too. Oh, and yes, I did feel those. Didn't understand them because
Yeah,
it was like I was walking up the stairs to go brush my teeth and go to bed, and that was about the time they came in.
yeah, yeah. Heather says she gets small tremors here and there in Western New York too.
Mm.
Yeah. Jay said she was riding the waves all night. She was going to text you last night.
You should have texted. You should have texted. I was probably up as well.
Yeah. Yeah. What part?
We have crossover dreams, and we both feel these earthquakes when they hit.
I love it. I love it. What part hit Texas? I'm not sure what part of Texas got
I was listening to
small.
Mr. BBB at midnight last night, or
Mhm.
maybe it was after that because he put the. It was after that because I went upstairs at like 1 o'clock,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he had set the release. He released the video 25 minutes earlier, and the earthquakes. He sounded like they had just happened, and that's why he came on. Well, he's not far away from me, really. He's just down in Ohio.
Yeah.
So, I feel like we're kindred spirits. I could go down there and talk to him. Hey, buddy. Like Aries, Terrell girl, Aries girl.
Yeah.
He's over 45 minutes away from me. I feel like, come on, meet me over at the train spot in Ypsilanti. We'll go have a burger together,
Right?
because they make Impossible burgers. And even if she eats a regular one, she can have that.
Yeah. Delicious. Delicious. Yeah. Love that. All right, everybody. Well, what do you have coming up, ma'am? Ma'am?
Well, we have the dream show tonight. And
Yeah.
so if you want to hear a little bit more, there's a couple of dreams that go along with this. And my angel bells were ringing and visions of, come on to the Alley show and meet us there tonight. 9 o'clock my time, 8 o'clock your time. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. 9 o'clock Central or 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. Yeah, the Dream Detectives. Yeah, it'll be on Allie's channel, but I'll also stream it probably.
Cool.
Oh, Heather's only 5 or 6 hours away, so someday she'll come visit. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for being here. And Diana, it's a breath of joy to see you and
Oh, thank you.
see that you're feeling better and he's feeling better. And we'll keep up the prayers and meditations.
Yeah, he's still got to get on that plane.
Yeah.
But it was good to sit in your crowd. Oh, when you talked about the quilt this morning and sewing things together, yeah, when I started out as Andrew Wyeth, which I thought had something to do with the braiding, right?
Hmm.
Where she's going through the long grass and she's kind of crawling through it, and the farmhouse is off by itself. But I was also sitting in the window looking out from another house, looking out at this happening, but it was me. And then I was sitting on all these quilts in a waterhouse painting of the lady on the lake when she's in that canoe and all these fancy tapestries. Well, then I looked in, oh my gosh, I had that picture on top on a cover of a book that was out. I didn't even remember that that was out, you know.
Wow.
And so, yeah, you had a great meditation this morning. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's all kind of um, getting started with that, all this energy that's coming in and working with it. So it's been fun. Anyway, well, everybody, thank you for so much for being here. And hopefully we'll see y'all tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have a